Hello students, so today let's continue with from hunting gathering to growing food. In the last class we saw about the earliest people, why were they on the move, why did they move from one place to another. We studied four reasons. First, because if they had stayed at one place for a long time, they would have eaten up all the things that were available surrounding them, and then they would face the shortage of food. Second, they hunted animals, and animals keep on moving from one place to another. So, in search of their prey, also they moved from one place to another. Third reason was plants and trees bear fruits in specific season. And fourth, plants, animals, and people all need water to survive. And for that, they always looked for the riverbanks where they can live. Then we also studied about how do we know about the past. We know about the past from the things they used. We studied about the tools they used, like for cutting or to cut meat or bone, or to scrap the bark or hide bark or hide, that is animal skin, chop the fruits and roots. So they used tools for various reasons, and we know about that. Today we will continue ahead. Choosing a place to live in. Look at map 2 below. All the places marked with red triangles are sites from which archaeologists have found evidence of hunter and gatherers. Hunter-gatherer lived in many more places. Only some are shown on the map. Many sites were located near sources of water such as rivers and lakes. So all the places that is marked here are where we can find the evidences of hunter-gatherers, like Burzaham, Mehrgarh, then Kolhivada, Mahagarh, Chiran, Daujoli heading. So these are the certain places where we can find hunter-gatherers. Now they can be divided into various things, like they stayed in different way: Paleolithic sites, Neolithic sites, megalithic sites, early village, and modern cities. The first ones were Paleolithic sites like Burzam, Mehrgarh, Kolhivada, Mahagarh, Chiran, Daujoli, Halur, and Payampally. So these were the first ones. Then we find Neolithic. Sorry, I spoke the name of megalithic. Now megalithic are the sites like Behramgiri and Achidanchulur. Then we can find megalithic, early village, modern city. So these are various sites which have been given to you, and many of these sites are located in the near the rivers or lakes where there is a source of water. As stone tools were important, people tried to find places where good quality stone was easily available. Because we all know they used stones for various purposes in the form of tools, so they generally tried to live at the places or find the places where they can find good quality of stone. Now the Bhimbetka, that is situated in Madhya Pradesh, it is very old site with caves and rock shelters. People chose these natural caves because they provided shelter from the rain, heat, and wind. These rock shelters were close to Narmada Valley. Can you think of why people chose to live there? Can you discuss why did people chose to live in Bhimbetka, this area in Madhya Pradesh? This worked as a natural caves because it provided shelter from rain, heat, and wind. So can you find other reasons also? Now this is example of rock painting and what they tell us. This is a painting from a rock shelter. Many of the caves in which early people lived have paintings on the wall. Some of them best examples are from Madhya Pradesh and southern Uttar Pradesh. These paintings show wild animals drawn with great accuracy and skill. They have painted this on the rock, so this shows a wild animal and the hunting scene. See, this is rock shelter. Now if we know what are sites, Sites are the places where the remains of things like tools, pots, buildings, anything is found. These were made, used and left behind by people. This may be found on the surface of the earth, buried under the earth, or sometimes even underwater. You will learn about different sites in the later chapters. So, sites are the places where we can find the remains of these generations like tools, pots, or buildings. These were generally made by them. They used it and then left behind when they moved from one place to another. These may be found on the surface of the earth or might be buried under the surface of the earth, or even we can find sometimes under the water. Now we learned about stone. How did they find out fire? Find the Kurnul caves on map 2. Traces of ash have been found here. These suggest that people were familiar with the use of fire. Fire could have been used for many things, as a source of light, to roast meat, and to scare away animals. Now, Kurnul in the map 2. So, Kurnul is situated here, Kurnul caves. Kurnul caves are generally is the first place where ashes were found, and whenever we find ashes we can suggest that there was a use of fire. What could fire be used? Fire be used for many things, like as a source of light, because during ancient times we did not have any tube lights or things, so they always used fire as a source of light, or to roast meat, and even to scare away the animals. Animals are generally scared away of fire, so they used it for that purpose. Can you suggest what do we use fire for today? Discuss it with your family. For what purposes do we use fire? Names and dates. Archaeologists have given lengthy names for the time that we are studying. They call the earliest period the Paleolithic. This comes from two Greek words, paleo meaning old and lithos meaning stone. The name points to the importance of finds of stone tools. The Paleolithic period extends from 2 million years ago to about 1200 years ago. This long stretch of time is divided into lower, middle and upper Paleolithic. This long span of time covers 99% of human history. The period when we find environmental changes beginning about 1200,000 years ago till about 10,000 years ago is called Mesolithic, that is Middle Stone. Okay, archaeologists have given lengthy names to the time period. They have divided time into different things. The earliest period is known as Paleolithic. Paleolithic is derived from two Greek words, paleo that is old and lithos that is stone. And the name points to the importance of the finds of stone tools. So stone tools were generally found in this period. And this period is from 2 million years ago to 12,000 years ago. So during this period we can term it as Paleolithic age. And this age is further divided into three: lower Paleolithic, middle Paleolithic and upper Paleolithic. And 99% of the human history is covered in this time. The very next stage is Mesolithic. When the environmental changes began, then the period changed. That is from 12,000 years ago till 10,000 years ago. That was Mesolithic, that is middle stone. And the stone tools found during this period were generally very small, and these stone tools are then called as microliths. Microliths were probably stuck onto the handles of the bone or wood to make tools such as saw and sickle that is used for agriculture. They were generally made onto handles of bones or wood. They were made out of bones or woods, and they were used to make saws and sickles. At the same time, older varieties of tools continued to be in the use. The next stage from about 10,000 years ago is known as Neolithic. Now, can you think what does the term Neolithic means? Something which is new, right? We have also mentioned the names of some places. You will find the names of many more places in later chapters. Very often, we use present day names of the places where people lived in the past because we do not know what they called them. Now, a changing environment. Around 12,000 years ago, there were major changes in the climate of the world with a shift to relatively warm conditions. In many areas, this led to the development of grasslands. This in turn led to an increase in the number of deer, antelope, goat, sheep and cattle, that is animals that survived on grass. Those who hunted these animals now followed them, learning about their food habits and their breeding seasons. It is likely that this helped people to start thinking about herding and rearing these animals themselves. Fishing also became important. Now, around 12,000 years ago, climate change began, and the conditions till then were the atmosphere was very cold, and now relatively warm conditions were found. So in many of these areas, because of changes in the atmosphere and the atmosphere became warm, there was development of grasslands. Grasslands started growing. This in turn developed many animals came into existence like deer, antelope, goat, sheep and cattle, and these animals survive on land or grass. So they started rearing these animals, rearing and herding these animals. Now those who were hunting animals and then eating for the food habits started to think that they can herd these animals, they can rear these animals and eat animal products. Along with this, fishing also became important. So the beginning of farming and herding. This was also a time when several grain-bearing grasses including wheat, barley and rice grew naturally in different parts of the subcontinent. Men, women and children probably collected these grains as food and learned where they grew and when they ripened. These may have led them to think about growing plants on their own. In this way, people became farmers. So how did people become farmers? This is the answer. When several grains started growing like wheat, barley, rice grew, they grew in natural conditions in different parts of the subcontinent. So when men, women and children went to these places, they collected them as food grains and learned where they grew or when they got ripened, when they get ripe. So they started knowing this information, and this might have also helped them about growing plants on their own. So once they started growing plant on their own, they also became farmers. People could also attract and then tame animals by leaving food for them near their shelters. The first animal to be tamed was the wild ancestor of the dog. Later, people encouraged animals that were relatively gentle to come near the camps where they lived. These animals such as sheep, goat, cattle and also the pig lived in herds and most of them ate grass. Often people protected these animals from attacks by other wild animals. This is how they became herders. So when they started growing, then they realized that they can also tame animals, they can also make animals as their pet by leaving them food near their shelters. Wherever they stayed, they kept food for them. Then the first animal to be tamed was the wild ancestor of dog. Later people were encouraged and then they encouraged animals also to those animals that were very gentle to them or that can be kept near their camps. So they started taming them like sheep, goat and pig, and also the pig lived in the herds and most of them ate grass. So this is how they started keeping the animals, protected these animals from the attack of other wild animals, and hence they became herders. So this is important, how they become farmers and how they become herders. Make sure you remember this. Can you think of any reasons why the dog was perhaps the first animal to be tamed? Can you think of any reasons? Please discuss it with your family or your brother or sister. What is domestication? Domestication is the name given to the process in which people grow plants and look after animals. Very often, plants and animals that are tended by people become different from wild plants and animals. This is because people select plants and animals for domestication. For example, they select those plants and animals that are not prone to disease. They also select plants that yield large size grain and have strong stalks capable of bearing the weight of the ripe grain. Seeds from selected plants are preserved and sown to ensure that new plants or seeds will have the same qualities. So domestication, it is the name of the process in which people grow plants and they also look after the animals. It happens many times that plants and animals are then trained by the people and they become very different from wild plants and animals. This is because people select plants and animals, like they want to tame this animal, or they want to grow this plant. For example, they select only those plants and animals that are not prone to diseases, that do not get diseased very soon. They also select the grains which can give them huge production, large size grains, and those grains have strong stalks. Strong stalks is they are capable of bearing the weight. And seeds from these selected plants are then preserved, sown to ensure whether the new plants or seeds, whatever they grow, will have the same qualities and they can be controlled. If we talk about animals, those which were relatively gentle and were selected for breeding, for further production, and as a result, gradually domesticated animals and plants also became different from wild animals and plants. For example, the teeth and horns of wild animals are usually much larger than those of domesticated animals, right? If we talk just the basic example, whenever we train a dog or when we keep a pet, it is very different from the street dogs. So even in earlier times, people used to tame only those animals which can be controlled. See, here they have given the image. Look at the two sets of teeth. Which do you think belongs to wild pig and to the domesticated ones? Can you guess? Yes, this belongs to domesticated ones and larger one belongs to wild pig. So, domestication was a gradual process that took place in many parts of the world. It began about 12,000 years ago. Virtually all the plants and animal produce that we use as food today is a result of domestication. Some of the earliest plants to be domesticated were wheat and barley, and the earliest animals to be domesticated were sheep and goat. We will continue with a new way of life in the next class. Thank you.